Everyone will have credentials to log into Proven Solutions accounting in the web. When you successfully enter those and log in, your opening screen will be your dashboard that you can personalize to suit yourself. Everyone will have a solid header bar. This will stay here as you move about the modules and the screens, including is a global search. So that will be through the entire accounting area. Next to that is a new button, and it allows you for really quick entry when you're not, if you're involved in looking at something and you need to do something quick, we can select new. Invoice jumps us immediately to an invoice entry screen that using the magnifiers, I can select my customer, complete my entry, save, close, can close that screen. So we have a few very quick shortcut items on here. It's not meant to give you a full fleet of activities. Quick invoice, quick voucher, throw in a customer on the fly, create a vendor quickly on the fly. We can throw one in. Clean, crisp, lots of options, quickly select. I can enter what I need to. Notice from our typical vendor screen, there's certain tabs that are missing. As soon as I get some basic information in here, I can save and close. Now I get the balance of those uh, tabs that you're familiar with seeing in PSA accounting on the desktop, like the detail tab, basic information. This is where our default taxes, salespeople, expense accounts, those kinds of things are all kept as you would expect. We have the same log, history, we can enter our contacts, all of those things. When I've done something quickly like that, I may want to return quickly to my dashboard. I have a number of options to do that. In my header again, I can use my back arrow and it will take me back one step at a time. In the center, I have a quick refresh if I want to refresh my screen. And I also have a forward step if I need to toggle back and forth. I can certainly do that. To the right of that is my notifications identifier. And as you can see, when I hover my mouse there, I get a pop-up badge that tells me the number of notifications that I have in that. Pretty much everything, when you hover your mouse over a symbol, will give you that pop-out that tells you what you're doing. Again, this global header bar is available as you move throughout the accounting. Standard also is the menu bar down the left-hand side. And it's just symbols at the moment. But when you hover your mouse, you get to see what the label is. I'm going to click with my left mouse on the open menu, and that expands the sidebar. Now I get labeling to go along with my symbols. Until you get comfortable, you might like to have this open. I'm going to select sales and receivables from here. When you look at this module level, inside each will give you a menu bar across the top. As I move my mouse, The various other pieces to it will drop down and are selectable from that. In the center is what we call our grid view. Every single column has a filter. Using the drop down, I can pick some criteria, or I can just simply use my left mouse and enter a number. I do not have to leave the field here. So this is something that's a little bit different than the desktop accounting, where you have to leave fields. So you see my screen has refreshed to match my filter. Notice at the bottom, my total refreshed. Right below that, it's telling me how many items and pages that I have. I can simply backspace to remove that filter. It returns me to my main screen. Now, quite often, we need to have a filter that we revisit on a regular basis. A favorites, if you will, or a memorization. Top here, I have a filter button and I can select it. And when I come down in here, first of all, I can choose my options. Once I've made a selection there, I can continue to slide down. In blue, it tells me that I can now save that grid view. Anything that I have saved will then appear down below. Anytime I want to see that particular grid view, I can place a check mark. It has refreshed my screen. Notice that now, where it says filter, I have a badge with the number 1. That's telling me I am using a filter. Of course, we have lots of things to do in our world, so I may have to run over here to receivables for a minute, check on something. Notice the screen again has all of the fields that we need from our desktop accounting. I may go back. I'm using my back arrow. I have returned to that view. So it held that view until I come back to my filter and remove my check mark. So I can have quite a long list, and you see we have the ability to delete old ones that we don't need. But I can return there and select different ones. They will stay there for me until I actually select it, deselect it. Up here, we also have a tools menu. When I select it, these are my tools for my grid. So I can export quite nicely into PDF, Excel, and Word. I can group by my column items here. So I can group by my customer if I wanted to, my salesperson. So if I group by my customer, it gives me a different presentation. Simply coming back up, well, if I select none, I can also choose the columns that I show here. Notice on my grid on the far left, I have a details button in blue. It's telling you it's going to go somewhere. If I don't want to see that, I can remove my check mark and it disappears. Very quick, responsive. The speed is delightful. On the top left hand here, you see this half circle. That is a very quick refresh option as well. We'll go into the details of an invoice. Crisp, clean, all the fields that you need and you've come to expect: job numbers, dates, currencies, default taxes, detailed lines, all of those things. We come into, and as you see, I can scroll across. I get drop down, so we can certainly go to a receivables screen here so that I can see how I can record my deposits. Coming into Edit Receivables, we'll take a quick look at one. Selecting the details opens up the visual here. We've tried to take some of the pain out of the desktop accounting. One of the common items that's being requested is less clicks. How can we get there faster? So in your screens, you're going to see little things like view and hyperlinks. So let's select the view. Opens up my pop-up, allowing me to see the details of this particular payment. I have a little actions button here. When I select my view invoice, it actually takes me to that invoice so I can see more detail, drilling it down, not having to leave and go somewhere else. I can also, if I'm on this screen and I don't need to see the details or more details about the payment, but I do need to see that sales invoice, we got a shortcut directly from here. So again, we've taken out a click wherever we can. So we have customer prepayments. Again, the screens are going to look differently. We're not opening to an individual record like we do in the desktop. Each column has the filter so we can easily drill to it. Run through some of the screens so you see your finance charges. We have our sales taxes. If you choose to do recurring sales transactions, those items are all there along the top menu. We'll slip down here to purchases and payables. Under the label vouchers, you see we've got another long list. And again, each item may have other items below it. Let's go into purchase order close here. These are all the open purchase orders. Quite quickly, I can make a selection, select my blue close button because that's going to give me an action. Here is my pop-out that I must confirm. So we still need to tell the system that we have a clue of what we're doing. Whether or not we really do, but we're going to say that we do in this case. It's large, it's crisp, you can't avoid it. It's quite clear we need a yes or a no. And like the desktop, you must answer that to carry on. Once I make that decision, I get that alert that popped up here in the bottom left. So that's my confirmation. If you recall in the desktop, every time I made a choice and I confirmed that that's what I wanted to do, the system would go ahead and do it. And then I had to click again to accept that it was finished. So that's one example of where we're trying to make it a little more streamlined, a little nicer. So we were on the open purchase order screen. So you see underneath our menu, we have a sub menu here. So we're sitting on close. If I want to open or reopen a purchase order, I must move to the open sub menu item. Okay. I can place my check mark. And now my blue button is telling me I'm going to open. So the system knows if it's closed, you're going to open. And if it is open, you will be closing. So again, our confirmation, we're going to say yes, watch for the alert here in the bottom left. It tells me what happened without having to make another click. So again, we've got into purchase order close to see that sub menu for open and closed. Move along to the payables. Of course, you've got your payable screen if you want to pay some bills. You want to see. So you have your options here. Put in your check number. You've got your hold button, all of those details. But again, you've got filters that you can utilize. Edit payables, again, is a listing of payments and returns. Unfortunately, they happen as well. Details takes you inside. Notice here, you've got submenus. Your new record, you can add another one. You've got your filter, your tools. Your header has stayed put. We have our review payable screen. Again, everything that you are used to using and enjoy from the desktop is here. Okay, it might be slightly different visual. It might be along the top. Instead of a button, it might be in an action menu, and we'll help you with those. Again, the blue columns down the left will take you somewhere so that you can see something. You can filter by voucher. Notice the vendor's invoice numbers on this screen as well. So you can filter by that, which is quite nice when they call in and they've got their number as opposed to the PSA voucher information. Going back to our menu, we'll select our customers. Along the top, we are sitting on our customers menu, but we do have a contact lookup menu as well. Coming back to my customers, we can take a quick look at one. I'm going to select details here. Once I open it, I get my basic information, but I do have my tabs. I've got my detail tab again, terms and sales tax defaults. I have the ability to enter a log. I've got my history. I can see for this customer a list of my jobs. I have my contact. When I open one of my contacts, notice that we still have those buttons where if perhaps a company is purchased by another one, then you can transfer um, the contact and history from one customer to another. Or I could simply copy a contact to another customer if they were to change employers, but you wanted to keep some tie-in to the history. We've retained all of those things. And moving over to our vendors, again, very similar here. You see the cloud accounting one that we entered from our front shortcut, quick entry, the beginning is listed here. You can open any one of them up. Again, you get all of your screens so you can define your default sales taxes, salespeople, credit limits. You can define whether or not they're either a T5018 or 1099 vendor, certificates, all those things, logs, history. Very similar structure to your customers. So once you get comfortable with one area, it will be very common as you move along. We'll jump down to general ledger. Notice here, I've used a filter. I can simply highlight it and delete it. When you open, all your accounts are on one screen. They will list numerically. So it's quite easy to see that we've got a problem here. We've got our very first account is a liability account, and it always goes assets, liabilities, equity, etc. So we can easily use these filters to identify errors, things like that. Let's go into an account. Again, you got your description, you've got some numbers, you've got some details as to the transactions that are in that account. On this screen, and this may be new information for some, and this is available in the desktop as well when you get to the right screen. But if I can highlight carefully here, the first 8 characters in our batch number define the physical date the entry was made. So on this line item, if we look to the left, the document, in this case, it was a journal entry, had a posting date or an entry date assigned to it of July 1st. So that was a choice that the author was making at that point. But the batch tells me the first 8 digits. Even though I dated my journal entry for July 1st, I posted it on October 7th. The first 4 characters define the year, the next 2 are the month, and the final 2 are the day. So we've retained that. Back to our general ledger, you see lots and lots of items in our drop down here. And let's go down to our general journal. And let's take a quick look at one. We'll go into the details here. I have hyperlinks. So if I select the blue H with the underscore underneath it, just by clicking with my left mouse, it gives me a list of my locations that I can make a selection from if I need to make a change. So again, watch for those blue, the hyperlinks. All of that is your drill down that we were missing in the desktop. So we're trying to incorporate that in a lot of places right out of the gate. Back to the general ledger, we have asset status. Okay. We have asset management. These are tools that some people choose to use in the desktop. The desktop is limited to a straight line accounting method of depreciation, and we will bring in declining balance as well into the cloud accounting. Underneath our transactions, we have our recurring journals, which are great for your monthly depreciation or prepaid expense allowances, or if you want to accrue income taxes, those kinds of things on a regular month. And of course, we must have our batch post for our WIP. Notice how nice it is on this screen, that red warning. You know, it's really crisp and clean. Hard to get past that without noticing it. So again, just a little bit different look, but all the functionality is there. We're going to move down into banking. Again, lots of menu options when you hover across. We're going to go into the register here for an account. Again, lots of filtering options, back arrow. We can go into the actual account, so you can see a quick summary of the account, and I noticed a couple of spelling errors that we'll fix up. We've got make withdrawals. We've got bank reconciliation undo, and this is where I really like that red banner. Quite visible. Now, I'm just going to take a second and switch my screen so that we can attend to some questions. I seem to be talking a little bit longer than I had originally planned. So give me 1 second and I'll change my screen and we will start your questions. Okay. Ruby is asking if the dashboard is accessible to all users or based on security access. Absolutely, Ruby. Um, the dashboard will be accessible for all. However, the items that they can place on that dashboard will be subject to the security privileges that they have. So, for example, if you haven't given general ledger permissions to someone in your security, they would not be able to put income statement details on their dashboard. Hi, Tara is asking, are you able to process credit card transactions through PSA? Uh, Tara, I don't think we're going to have that in version 1. It is definitely on our list, and hopefully it makes the cut for version 2. Monty, hi Monty. I hope you're staying safe down in Texas. I think here things are not um, calming down with the virus right now, but hopefully it's a short blip for you guys. Monty is asking, is the invoice attached to the job automatically in PSA job management or as an attachment? So with the cloud accounting, Monty, it is tied to the job. So it will go directly onto the job financials in PJM. Um, like the desktop accounting, if you choose, you can have it as an attachment as well. So it's a choice. Jarrett, I hope things are well for you in Florida, is asking if they can use both the desktop and web versions of accounting, or do we have to choose one or the other? Jared, I'm going to say that we're going to probably force you to use one or the other. We will certainly, after we get through the beta group, we will certainly probably offer some sandbox environments so people can play with them a little bit. Um, but I really would not want to try and troubleshoot some of the challenges that might come from trying to run two. So I don't know specifically, but I'm hoping that you have to choose. Arlene, how are things in Alberta? I hope well. We are almost ready to get into our beta testing with a few select customers to start with. So I'm hoping by end of summer, we'll be rolling that out, and depending on how good of a job we have done and how many issues our beta group is finding, will determine that release date. But hopefully soon. It's quite encouraging. Shelley, hope things are well in Ohio for you, and similar security as the desktop for posting and things. Absolutely, Shelley. If anything, we're going to give you a little more flexibility and better visibility on the security, so it's easier to manage for you. Arlene is asking how to transfer the data from the desktop to web. Uh, quite honestly, Arlene, we haven't even spec'd that out yet, but we'll have a utility because we can export from our database into tables or pull from tables. We'll be able to build a utility that'll transfer all of that information for you. Rebecca Nice to have you with us, Rebecca. I hope things are well for you guys as well. And yes, certainly, uh, all of the desktop accounting features will be available in the web, which includes writing checks. And Joe, nice to have you with us, Joe. I hope things are well in Kitchener. And yes, you will be able to filter payables by job number. Absolutely, for sure. And I'm not sure who the next person is. Does the web accounting integrate with Search Express? The first version will not, but it is um, definitely will happen. Monty, can we see email history with a customer or a vendor? That won't happen in the first version, Monty, but it is on my hit list for the enhancements. C. Shepherd is asking if we have the ability to attach documents to a voucher. Again, I'm not sure that that's going to make the cut for version 1. As much as I would really like to have all of the improvements into the first version, I don't want to delay it too long either. So it's probably going to be version 2 for something like that. Monty, how do we send the invoice via email? The email functionality will be part of the cloud accounting for sure. Can we take credit card payments in the web? Yes, you will be able to. That may be version 2. Ruby, the equipment management is actually going to be in the job management. The beautiful thing about moving to the cloud accounting is some of the things that went from desktop into the web job management will stay there. There won't be a need for them to move back and forth. Equipment management, if you're looking for depreciation schedules, will be inside of the general ledger, and we looked at that. And but if you're looking to add a piece of equipment to be able to scan it to jobs, that will be part of the job management piece, as it is now. And this person is asking if there's a payroll service included. No, we won't be doing payroll. However, we will integrate with programs and services as our current desktop does. Son, I don't know what town you're in, but hopefully you're staying well. Is the data hosted on the local server? And will the database, if not? So this is cloud-based accounting, so it will be hosted on our Amazon farms, the same as the job management, which should be comforting. You don't have to worry about virus protection, malware, any of those things, because the security is top-notch on the Amazon farms. The database will be accessible to you. And I'm not sure what you're saying about accessible locally for internal reporting purposes. So you will be able to access the database wherever, um, very much like the job management. So I'm hoping that answers your question. Shelley, does the cloud security um, override? So the tie-in with the cloud accounting into the job management You will have separate security for certain areas. So if you're having a specific issue, Shelley, please let me know and I'll look into that. Because if you're having a specific issue in a certain area, I want to make sure that we don't carry that issue forward. Nada, how nice of you to join us. Um, you will still use the payroll program and we will integrate pretty similar to the way we do now with the PSA desktop. Stuart, I hope things are well for you. What is the timeline to move from beta to live? Wow. Honestly, I hope it's very short, Stuart. We're working feverishly. Um, you know, every day I spend 2 or 3 hours sending things to our development team to tweak um, that kind of thing. So we're hoping to get to beta very soon, and it's going to really depend then on how many things that our team, our internal teams have missed. So that's tough for me to give you a timeline. Once we get into beta, it will be easier to tell you there. All right, I am running out of time, so I'm going to pick up the pace. Tara, demos available? Not yet, but they will be. Will this system allow for bank and credit card? Yes, probably version 2. Costing, Jan, in Calgary hasn't been determined yet. George, inventory will not be available in the first version, but V2 is the plan. Shelley, cloud accounting is going to be spectacular with the web. There won't be any sync or sync utilities, wait times, none of those challenges that we have with the desktop. They're all going to disappear. Crystal is saying payable feature. Yes, we're going to have declining balances on purchase orders. So as you fulfill parts of it, you'll be able to see what's available. Xactimate integrates with the job management side. So you'll bring estimates into the jobs and then um, any transactions will flow between. Payroll, I've answered. Mobile app, Paul, that's something that we haven't totally decided on. Um, Once we get it out and up and running and everyone's happy, we'll probably take that decision to the user group um, for that. Now, I have got to the end of my questions and we have run out of time. I want to thank you all very much for joining us today. Please, if you have questions you think of after we leave the meeting, reach out to our support team, support@canamsys.com with your questions, and we will get back to you. Thank you all for sharing your lunch with us. Have a great day. Goodbye.